So, haere mai from my heart place to your heart place, Anoushka, to the Heart Place Hospital podcast.
Yay!
So exciting. So,
So
welcome to the
excited.
Heart Place Hospital podcast, where we explore the intersections of healing, creativity, and the soul's journey. And today we're joined by you, Anoushka, an incredibly multidimensional supporter who's an astrologer, tarot reader, jewellery designer, fashion stylist, and Angelic Reiki Practitioner, to name a few things. So you've created intentional space for deep self-exploration, helping others connect with their higher selves and spirit guides. Your work is rooted in transformation, turning pain into beauty, darkness into light, and using creativity as a sacred tool for self-healing. In this episode, we plan, Anoushka, to take us on a profound journey through the depths of the underworld, sharing your lived experience with ADD, anorexia, addiction, depression, and anxiety. And Anoushka, you help others release shame around their own struggles and instead embrace them as doorways to creative self-expression, love, and acceptance. So get ready, everybody, for soul-stirring conversation on astrology, shadow work, and the power of meeting our depths with curiosity and compassion. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much for having me today, Jackie. It's a real honor to be on Heart Place Hospital. It's just, yeah, it's really beautiful what you're doing and also like super empowering, like just pushing the boundaries of the health and educational systems and the structures that are no longer aligned anymore for us as a society. So I'm like, yeah, I feel really honored to be here and to be a part of creating that with you. So
Oh,
yeah, thank
thank you.
you.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was keen for you to be part of the under the umbrella for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a really good segue. I mean, part of these podcasts, part of telling these stories is to really help people see examples of that we don't necessarily need to go to a doctor and get a pill, that there
Mm,
are so many other modalities and meet us where we're at, like
yeah.
what actually works for us. And so clearly a woman that I'm seeing in front of me has done some massive work. If
Yeah.
some of your labels, I mean, some of your labels look like they're more than the back of a biscuit packet. So
Yeah, well, I do love a cookie. I do love a good cookie.
oh, there you go, there you go. So I guess that, let's, a bit of kind of speed dating, I call it. But what has led you to being this vibrant, gorgeous creator after experiencing so much in your life already?
Aw, thank you. Well, for me, creativity has always been the way that I express myself.
Mm,
It's the way that I move through this world. It's the way that I, yeah, transform my own darkness into light, my pain into beauty. And that is something that I haven't it's never really been an overly intentional way for me to like move through this world. It's literally just how I who
mm,
I am and how I do the world. So like whenever it's about expressing my light and wanting to show up and share my voice and share the gifts that I have, or whether it's sharing the really transformative cathartic experiences that I've had in my life. I started that process quite early in life. I started experiencing just this sort of disconnection from myself, or feeling like this deep sense of like I'm not enough, and I'm not enough as just who I am.
mm,
And that sort of started to I think I was about 8 years old when I started
mm,
to like when I remember feeling
mhm,
this sense of just the sense of that I'm not enough.
mhm,
And I that was probably connected to the fact that I was diagnosed with ADD and dyslexia when I was 8 years old.
mhm,
And then I got in the 90s, like being put on Ritalin was very much the way to go. So when I was 8 years old, I was put on Ritalin to help me focus at school, which it didn't really. I don't really remember it doing that much anyway. But yeah, so I like, when I got diagnosed with ADD, I had this sense of, oh, that I'm different, and then I need to take something outside of myself to make
Mm.
myself better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then I felt very different, like that disconnection that I was talking about. Like I felt very different from my
Mm.
peers, and that I was unique in a way that was not for um not for the gifts that I had, but for
Mm.
the difficult experiences
Mm.
that I had.
Mm.
So that's when I started to feel this sense of, oh, I'm different from other people,
Mm.
and from my peers. And so then I really struggled with that at school, and struggled to sort of learn the way that the educational system was teaching us to learn.
Mhm.
Um, and so, the way that I learn is the way that I learn. It's very different from how somebody else might learn. Like we all have different ways of understanding knowledge and integrating knowledge. And the educational system at the time was very like, like one box, one lane, and if
Mhm.
you didn't fit into that, then it was like,
Mm.
well, you would be considered someone who struggled in
Mm.
school or struggled with education. So obviously don't feel like that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. And so then when I was 14 years old, I started developing anorexia.
Mhm.
And that was a sense of, I felt out of control in my upbringing, and in school, um, and the surroundings around me. So that was a sense of wanting to control what was happening around me.
Mhm.
And really also, anorexia is also connected to the mother wound.
Mhm.
Anything to do with the digestive system, um, is to do with the mother wound. So that's what was happening for me as well.
Mm.
Um, so I struggled with anorexia for well, I was actively physically anorexic for about 3 years, and then I went to eating disorder service, and and that's when I also started to struggle with depression as well. So then I was put on antidepressants at
Mhm.
about 14.
Mhm.
So again, taking something outside of myself to make
Mm.
myself feel better.
Mm.
Um, and but I went to self-help programs as well, and started meditation and things like that. So I still had some really wonderful programs that
Mhm.
supported me to heal, and connect in with myself. um so yeah, it was about 17 that I started to eat 3 meals a day again, and started to get physically well. But the anorexic behavior was still active. And so it was about 17. Then I started to move into to drugs and alcohol.
Mhm.
And so you can see that I'm throughout my teens, my childhood and my teens, I was constantly in programs to the self-healing programs, but the root of the cause was never
Mhm.
actually dealt with, like the mother wound and what was happening, and the my core trauma. And
Mhm.
so you can do all these sort of outside, take the pills and do all the outside, the meditation and the CBT
Like,
and things like
like
that.
ticking the box, tick the box. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which was all like really, it was helpful, but it wasn't sustainable because it
Yeah.
wasn't getting to like into my subconscious and the
Yeah.
root of what was going on.
Sure.
Um, and so yeah, from about 17 to 21, I was in active addiction.
Mm.
And then when I was 21, rehab was presented to me by my friends and family.
Mhm.
And, at this point, I, I had sort of gone through my whole life struggling with my mental health.
Mm.
And, um, I really, I got to a point in my life where at such a young age, 21, um, I was like, do I actually want to live anymore?
Mm.
Like that's the place that I got to.
Mhm.
And I'd actually experienced some suicide attempts when I was in my teens. So
Right.
so these thoughts started coming up again.
Mm.
And, I'm the oldest of four. And I thought, my siblings are actually what got me through. I was like, I need to change my life. I need to change the way that I live my life. I need to drastically do something that's going to shift the way that I show up.
Mm.
And also just like having this deep sense of I'm so tired. I'm tired of feeling um unhappy with
Mm.
myself and with my life. And I just want to find a sense of peace. And so it
Mm.
was at 21 that I took active responsibility for the fact that, only I could change the way that I
Yeah.
showed up in my life, whilst also understanding that, um, it's not my fault as a child that I experienced what I experienced
Mm.
and that I had the wounds that I have. But it
Mm.
is my responsibility as an adult now, as a 21-year-old, to change the way that I move through this world.
This is what I love telling these stories because you realize there was a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas a lot of people aren't seeing choices, so they
Yeah.
get stuck. They get stuck in that victim mentality.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's all about timing as
Mhm.
well. It's
Mhm.
about timing. It's about being open, the willingness, maturing into understanding that I have a choice and
Mm.
what can I do about it.
Yeah.
So when I was 21, I was like, this is the choice that I'm making. I'm changing my life for my future now.
Yeah.
Not just, like in the moment, this is what I'm doing because I don't know what else to do. I was like, no, I have to do something about this.
Yeah. And was it radical? Was it radical what you did at 21?
At the time, did I feel it was radical? No, I was literally just trying to survive.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I was trying to survive. I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Um, so, and when I got into rehab, I was like, oh, actually, I didn't have the choice came. It was like my soul made the choice before my consciousness did.
Mm-hmm.
And, it wasn't this is, I'm getting clean and this is what I'm doing. It was, I'm tired and I can't live life like this anymore. So I'm just going to go here, go to rehab. I'm just going to have a rest and then I'll go back out and I'll be fine. I was
Yeah.
still really young, 21.
Yeah, totally.
But then, as I got cleaner and I realized what was on offer for me in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, you know what? I've been gifted something here that I need to grab onto. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep repeating the same patterns over and over again.
Wow. What a find at 21.
Yeah,
What a gift. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and a lot of people in the Narcotics Anonymous program, I had a lot of amazing people who went before me
Mm-hmm.
who, said to me, because at that time it wasn't that common for young people to get clean. There's so many young people getting clean today, which is fantastic. Um, but I had a lot of people who've gone before me that said, Anoushka, like you're 21, you've come here at 21, stay clean,
Yeah.
because like this is where you can change your life, like completely.
Yeah.
It's a free program that teaches
Yeah.
us how to connect with a higher power, to self-reflect, to understand who we are, what are our values, what are our morals, how do we want to move through the world, but do that deep self-reflection of what are my defects of character, what are my assets.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and it's an amazing program to build a really solid, grounded foundation um of self-reflection and connection with a higher power greater than myself.
Yeah.
So
What a
yeah,
what a what a cool earth school to go to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, yeah. It saved my life. So
For
yeah,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And is that when astrology came into your life or?
So
Wow.
I was about, I've always felt very connected to the fact that I'm a Scorpio. That's my sun sign. I actually
Yeah.
have a lot of Scorpio on my chart anyway. I'm basically a walking Scorpio. So this death and transformation process
Yeah.
that's throughout my life is like,
Yeah.
that's just how my life is. But I've
Yeah.
always been very connected to the fact that I'm a Scorpio sun, And when I was about, oh, a couple of years clean, maybe like, yeah, so like not, about 8 or 9 years ago, I started to receive astrology readings.
Hmm.
And you know, I remember getting my first astrology reading, and she expressed to me the amount of, you know, power that I could have and that I could access. That, you know,
Wow.
the energy that I was born into this life with.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, yeah, the darker aspects as well. And that
Yeah.
was really interesting to me because it was understanding, it's like understanding your subconscious and your consciousness
Mm.
um in one in your chart. And you know, to understanding your karmic lessons, but also like the your dharma, the
Yeah.
energy that you can that you have the ability, if you have the willingness,
Yes. Yes.
to fully alchemize
Mm.
into. Yeah, because our chart, you know, we come into this world with our soul blueprint, and it's our chart, and it's, you know, what our astrology chart is the placements of the planets in the sky of the exact time that we came
Mm.
into this
Mhm.
world. And what you can see in your chart is, you know, ancestral karma,
Mhm.
and how we can alchemize that into greater states of being, so that, you know, our future lineage can also be
Mhm.
transformed as well, you know, because we're all connected energetically
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway.
I I heard this, I hope I can articulate it. I heard Zach Bush explain it in the concept that because molecularly we're 99% water, and so
mm,
when we're birthed into the world out of the birth canal in the darkness, then the light hits that molecular parts of us, and all those planets are wherever they're lined up. That's where the energy comes into it. So, but like you say, you know, we have choice again. We have choice. You know,
yeah.
it's a blueprint, and we don't. You know, we're sovereign beings. We don't
Mm,
necessarily will follow that path. But I just also
yes.
wanted to sort of um, reflect back when you were saying around the Scorpio part of you.
Mm,
And what I've loved with my journey with astrology is falling in love with those parts, you know. So those,
yes.
so for me, I'm mostly Capricorn, uh,
Mm,
and I even surprise myself at how persistent I am at things. And then, but then it
yeah.
makes sense. It makes sense. Like I'm like on paper, I should have given up 1,000 years ago, but energetically, it's it's my zone of genius. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's what you're here to do. I mean, you're like, you've got so much Capricorn in your chart. It's like, you know, the Capricorn, they're hardworking and
Mhm.
consistent and diligent, you know, and they're here um to build and to create
Mhm.
structure. And but do it in a way that has like a very mature sense of knowledge,
Mhm.
but also, you know, connected to the material, but also connected to the otherworldly aspects as well.
Mhm.
Because Capricorn is very much about, you know, grounding down the spiritual knowledge of what you receive, and
Mhm.
how can I create that in this physical world for to build structure and create this steady movement forward for myself and my community. Yeah, Heart Place Hospital.
Yeah.
Love
And
it. Yeah, yeah,
and this
yeah.
is why I really wanted to bring you on because growing up, astrology was, you know, a back page in the Woman's Weekly. Um, and then through my own healing journey and through meeting people and my interests where my soul's guided me, I now
Mm,
see astrology as actually a healing modality, which is
mm-hmm.
what you're saying with us as well, you know, for all those the plethora of labels that you collected.
Yeah,
And here stands this woman now confidently and courageously and you know, that pained purpose that we talked about.
yeah,
And this is what I just think is just so valuable about these modalities. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's really yeah, this is why, my approach to when I'm doing reading someone's chart, it's my approach is very much to gently guide people into understanding
Hmm.
their shadow selves.
Hmm.
Um, because astrology is a fantastic place for radical self acceptance and
Hmm.
understanding why we have our shadow aspects,
Hmm.
and how and how we can actually alchemize that into the light for a purpose that's greater for ourselves and others. And because once we can understand the darker aspects of ourselves, then we have more willingness to take responsibility and and have compassion for
Mm.
ourselves. The compassion
Yeah.
aspect is really, really important because there's a lot of, society creates a lot of shame around these these aspects of ourselves that are not um accepted. And so if we can learn to accept ourselves,
Mm.
by understanding our chart and be like, okay, this is why I've actually experienced what I've experienced,
Mm.
and this is what I meant to do with those experiences, so that I can support other people but also alchemize that energy within myself, my own lineage. um we can accept ourselves more, and then we can accept other people more, and then that
Mm.
just dissolves the shame that we carry for aspects of ourselves that are like crunchy and
Yeah.
confronting and sticky,
Yeah.
and the dissolving of the shame. Shame is just such a it's such a it's a very it can be a very powerful. um you can either let it take over your experience in life, or you
Well, it's
can
one of the
really
lowest,
channel into.
it's one of the lowest vibrations.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it can spiral you down, like you can,
Yeah.
our frequency can hold some low vibrations, but
Yeah.
when we've got so many, it's very difficult for us to hold that high
Yeah.
frequency. So uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it is. So it's
I,
like,
I
the
love what you're
more.
saying though. I love what you're saying about self-compassion, because
Yeah.
once you've kind of practiced self-compassion, you can start practicing compassion. And I think that's what I love about astrology and human design, gene keys. I literally like tackle people and go, just curious, like when we were born, just so I can understand them better. So then
Yes.
particularly because for us, we're all very highly sensitive people, so we can stop
Mhm.
taking things personally. We can actually go, oh, actually, that's part of them, and we need that part in this world because we are the dark and the light. We are
Yeah.
the this and the that. We are the right and wrong. So um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what I really love about it. And that's what I love more and more of you. Um, are stepping up and saying, actually, this is my offering in the world. So we can start
Mm.
normalizing it and you're more accessible. Um,
Mm.
and we can sort of switch it from the back of the Woman's Weekly and actually put it into a working healing modality.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And when I look at everything that I've been through in my life, you can see it all in my chart.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
that's and so when I came to understand that, I was like, oh, this is why I've experienced what I've experienced, because it helps me not to stay in victim, for one, because I'm taking responsibility. But it's
Yes.
like I can see, oh, because I've experienced what I've experienced in my life, I can connect with so many different people, so many
Yeah.
different experiences that people are having. So then it's like, if I'm sitting here and sharing with you, this is the stuff that I've been through, and this is really hard, and this is really, it's tapped into aspects of my shame and my guilt and all those experiences that we have as human beings, then it's more likely to be able to give permission to the person I'm talking to also step into their own vulnerability and say, oh yeah, like this is also my experience, and then you have that sense of connection,
Mm.
which then dissolves that shame. It's like it's bringing the darkness into the light, putting that
Yeah.
light onto those dark experiences that we have to dissolve them and understand that we can have great power from those dark aspects of ourselves, and
Yeah.
it's yeah.
I call that feminizing the health and education system. So bringing in community. having community.
Yeah.
And essentially you got that during rehab.
Yeah.
You're in
Yeah.
community, and wise people were saying to you, hang in there, this is going to be a great
Mm,
opportunity for you. And
yeah.
we've we've had a long period of disconnecting people, of
Mm,
not creating those communities where we have the wise people and
mm-hmm.
those still to come through. And that's coming back, and that's our full intention with Heart Place Hospital is to create community,
Mm,
collaboration, and care, and then we can actually have a sustainable health and education system rather than
yeah.
what we're dealing with now, with like yourselves and so many others. We've gone through an education system for 13 years and literally come out knowing what's meant to be right and what's meant to be wrong. Uh,
Yeah.
and we've missed these opportunities of,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah. And
not
just
sustainable. It's not sustainable anymore. And then we don't have a health system to then mop up after the 13 years. We don't have the health system to mop up what's kind of popped out the other side. So
yeah. Yeah. It's because we've all been stuck in boxes,
we
this,
have,
and
yeah,
we haven't had the freedom to express how we uniquely and authentically want to express. And the reason why this is all stuff, we're starting to see big change of this now and a rise of astrologers, a rise of energy healers, is because
uh,
Pluto in November last year, Pluto currently went into Aquarius. So,
mhm,
and that's really exciting because the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the French Revolution. And it's like, well,
mhm,
look what happened there. So,
yeah,
with Pluto going into Aquarius, Pluto is all about, the underworld. It's about, it's about transformation, death, and rebirth. And with it being in Aquarius, this is all about, what's happening in society that has been underneath, that has been kept a secret, that has been suppressed, and what
mhm,
is going to be transformed into our communities for the better.
yeah,
Like our consciousness is raising. We're becoming more, we're wanting to create unity, we're wanting to
mhm,
create communities. It's about coming together and working together, and instead of like the hierarchical
yeah,
status that we've been experiencing for how many years. It's about equality,
yeah.
and it's exciting because
It is
the next 20
exciting.
years, with Pluto and Aquarius, this is our initiation into creating the new world,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I'm so when Pluto goes into Pisces, I mean, I'm excited for that too,
Me
so it's like,
too.
yeah, and I'm gonna be alive for that, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be alive for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that this here is another example. Like we're willing to invest in ourselves to be alive to see the world. Like we're excited. So therefore, we'll care for our inner selves and our outer selves so that we can. So there's
Mm,
just so much motivation from it. It's such. I just find it such a phenomenal healing tool that
yeah,
comes alongside other things beautifully. Um,
yeah.
but it's a beautiful guide. It's such a beautiful
Mm.
guide. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing guide into understanding yourself and
Mm,
others, because it's also like, if you can understand your chart, it's very layered. So it takes, it
yes.
takes many, many readings, many of much of your own, your own research to understand
Mm,
yourself, just like it is in general, but just to
yes.
understand yourself on the astrological level. Then when people come into your life and, what's your sun sign or what's your rising, whatever, then you can understand, oh, I see what you're here to teach me and what I'm here to teach you. Because that's what
Mm,
it's about. So giving and receiving of the knowledge and the wisdom, and the love and compassion that we have within one another. So
yeah.
it's like it's such a profound philosophy. Like I just think I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super curious now, like if you're dating or
Mm.
romantic partner, are you doing that?
You can seal that in your chart. You
Yeah.
can seal that in your chart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can look at
Yeah.
your Venus sign. You can look at the Juno asteroid. You can look at your seventh house. Um,
But what
you
about when you
know,
meet someone to understand them better, like
oh, Yeah. When you're dating, yeah, and well, yeah, I know that's the first question that so many people ask. I think these days,
Yeah,
what you? When were you born? Where were you born? What time?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you can see, but it's like everyone that comes into your life is a lesson.
yeah. Oh,
Anyway, you'll
definitely.
learn something
Totally,
from
yeah,
them.
of course, yeah, nothing's a failure. And I just
Mm.
it reminds me of when I for several years I did a lot of workshops and work around the menstrual cycle, and
Oh yeah, amazing.
yeah, and I had this big um I would often ask women where they were in their cycle, so then I could understand
Yeah,
what energy they were in and kind of
yeah,
how to approach things. So, and I had lots of young women teaching them to do it too, so that they could understand their friends and family. Uh,
yeah. Amazing.
really powerful. Mm.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool.
And so,
Oh,
I'd love to know, like, what's I often ask people kind of what like the silver lining, like what's the journey been like, to for the last, what is it, 9 years that you've kind of
mhm.
been sharing astrology? What's that been like, given that Pluto wasn't in Aquarius and it was quite a foreign sort of concept for a lot of people? How's that journey been like? What's the good and the bad that you've
Well,
experienced?
so the thing is, I haven't actually been sharing astrology for 9 years. I've
Oh,
been
okay.
learning it myself and
Sure.
experiencing it myself,
Yeah,
which is really
nice.
important before you start offering. So
Yeah.
I've been offering astrology readings within my business for about a year now,
Uh-huh.
just over a year. I was sharing, offering it to my friends and family
Yeah.
and things like that prior.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've always approached things. Like anything that's I'm really passionate about, I always end up turning it
Yeah.
into part of my business.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's and it's always been a big inspiration behind my jewelry design and things like that.
Okay.
So I think it's really important when you're offering as a practitioner or someone who works with energy or anything like that to it's really important to experience it first, to
Mm,
understand, to
no.
gain wisdom from it first. Because then you can really embody what it is that you're offering, because the knowledge is really important and we can learn
Mm,
knowledge, right? That's easy. We can do the research, we can get the readings ourselves, but it's like, yeah, if you don't have wisdom to back up the knowledge, then this is my opinion. I think knowledge is just regurgitated information. You have
mm,
to have the
yeah.
knowledge and the embodied wisdom for it to fully come from your heart, because everybody has a unique way of expressing themselves. And there's
Mm,
lots of astrologers, there's lots of energy healers, um, and so it's really important to for me. I've been able to gain a lot more understanding and depth within what it is that I'm offering, because I've given myself the time
yeah.
to experience it and embody it, because
Mm,
then what I'm sharing comes from my heart, not just
mm,
from my head. It's about creating that bridge between the mind, body, and soul.
yeah.
So I
I
think
love
that's really
that.
important.
Yeah, I love that. I think
Mm,
that's really important too. I've done the same things. Like I
mm,
look into things and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna create something for that because I didn't know that. So I've kind of along my own healing journey, I've shared my own healing journey with others, and of course,
yeah,
because we've had so much of this wisdom withheld from
mm,
us. It's been so taboo. It's been wonderful putting more tada into what was, so much taboo. Um, as I've learned it myself, I've just been sharing it with others.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I wonder if you could hear a little bit more about your jewelry and your angelic Reiki um, collaboration with that as well.
Well, actually, I'll share a bit about how my jewelry started, because this is a really
Yeah,
great example of transforming your darkness into light.
yeah.
So when I was 15, and that was I was severely anorexic at 15.
Hmm.
I've always been into, ever since I was very, very young, I've always been into fashion and design. And that's, yeah, like I've shared, that comes very not naturally to me. And that never really left me, even when I was anorexic. And I actually wasn't at school when I was much when I was 15. I was in recovery, I was recovering.
Mm.
And I would have respite care nurses come and watch over me at times.
Mhm.
Um, in regards to, depending where I was with my mental health. And I had this one woman who came. She was with me for about a week, and she knew that I loved fashion and design, and she turned up one day and she bought these jewelry tools, and she said to me, would you like to make jewelry? And I said, oh, okay. So I think what she was doing was she was initiating me to connect back with my creativity in a time where I felt disconnected from myself.
Yeah.
And and so I was like, yeah, sure, let's make some jewelry. And what I did was I just gathered little bits and pieces from, my jewelry trinkets and my mum's old jewelry that she didn't want. And I sort of took them apart and created them like that. And then I started just selling them to my family for like, I don't know, $20 for a necklace or
Yeah.
something like that. And so
Yeah.
that's actually how I
Wow.
started creating jewelry. Um, so that's a really special experience and part of my life. And little did I know when I was 15 that that was sort of,
Mm.
going to become one of my greatest passions and how I, move through this world. And so then, yeah, when I was 26, after, I've been creating jewelry and it was like a hobby, I decided at 26 that I wanted to start a business with
Yeah.
this. And so yeah, I hand make everything myself. I upcycle vintage elements and yeah, I design as I make. So I make it all by hand. And yeah, I get inspiration from literature and and history and film and art. And then I literally design as I make.
Wow.
Um, and then yeah, I got two years ago, I got my Angelic Reiki Practitioner certificate. So then I started infusing my pieces with Angelic Reiki when if my customer wanted, and just sort of tap into when I infuse the jewelry, I tap into their energy and what it is that they want to hold.
Hmm.
That might be more self-love or it might be more confidence or whatever it is that they need, and I channel that into the jewelry, so that they can have this unique piece that's for them, that has specific energies, from their spirit guides and whatever else wants to come through for them, so it like makes it even more personalized.
Yeah.
um because yeah, my jewelry comes from a very personal
Hmm.
place, and it's about connecting with my customer, and so that they can wear this unique piece for them, and it represents their uniqueness and how and what they want to embody as well.
When you kind of look back or hear your story, making sense of everything makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah, yeah,
journey that
yeah,
you've had, and then the connection to astrology, connection to energy, connection to the creativity, um,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm so excited to share this story because I'm sure there's some young people sitting in schools right now feeling
Mm.
very lost and alone, and here we have an example of someone who would have been just like them at 15, 13, 14, 15, and look at you now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And it was, and when I started my jewelry, it was like it was like the inner child in me. It was very childlike in regards to, this is how I want to express myself. I didn't overthink it. It was
mm,
just my soul guided me
yeah,
to that place, and it was, what, I this is what I want to do. I love it. I want to put it out to the world, and I'll see how it goes. That childlike curiosity of wanting to express myself,
yeah,
and put myself out there. And it's scary. It's so scary because it's like, our creativity is connected to such a deep sense of who we are, and what it is that we want to say in this world. And when we create, we're simply channeling. That's what we're
mm,
doing when we create,
absolutely, yeah,
and we're expressing our a really deep sense of who we are. And so to put yourself out there is so brave, and you will get rejected. Yeah, I mean, of course, like I was rejected many, many times,
yeah,
but I was also had amazing successes that just um that just, you know, I consistently worked hard every day, and then the universe would gift me with these really amazing opportunities and achievements because I was consistent, and because I really believed in what I was creating, and because it was also came from a very authentic place. It
Mm.
wasn't about pleasing anyone else. It was about simply creating
Mm.
and offering what I had to say in
Mm.
this world, you
I think
know?
when I work with people who want to step out of the conventional health or education system, and they know they want to be of service, they know they've got wisdom, they know they've got experience to share. This is what I say to them. I said, I know it's going to be a dismantling because we're so used to time for money. But what
Mm,
will happen is that you'll actually the byproduct of you sharing what you've created is that you will receive abundance so that you can continue to share that creativity.
yeah,
And it happens every time. Like, it's not like some people get that. It's like every single time, and I try to disprove it, but every single time, um, everybody receives when they,
mm,
like you say, when you're doing it from a place of kind of for the greater good.
mm,
The greater good is that you're well, that
mm,
you're part of society, you're smiling to people, you're creating beauty in your corner of the world.
mm,
That is for the greater good. Because when
yeah,
you see people who are in their lower vibration, lower frequencies, then that's not, it's like having one bad egg, in a basket.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
No bad. So we need to just keep creating these high frequencies, which it comes creativity is like such
yeah.
a easy modality to receive that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And what I do want to say in regards to, you know, the lower vibrational energies that we all experience as human beings,
Mm.
it's really important to, nurture those
Mm.
aspects of ourselves,
Mhm.
because when we, like society has taught us, when we ignore or dismiss or shame or judge
Mhm.
ourselves
Mhm.
for those darker aspects of ourselves, we let it manifest into something that can take over our light. And
Mhm.
so if we can have the willingness and the courage to really look at, you
Mhm.
know, like to really get curious. Curiosity is really important, to get really curious of why we have that experience.
Mhm.
Um, then we're far more likely to be able to create
Mhm.
a sense of purpose, a
Mhm.
sense of individuality, a sense of unity from
Mhm.
that, and then transform it into a space that is of service to others.
Mhm.
And I also want to say that, you know, diving into our darkness, it doesn't always necessarily have to be a negative thing.
Mhm.
You know, creativity comes from that regeneration process. Um, and that is creativity. We can't be constantly creating a 24-hour cycle, go, 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 go.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
not creativity.
No.
Creativity is the feminine. It's the cycle of nature. It's like the Wheel of Fortune tarot. We're
Mhm.
up and then we go down, and then we're
Yes.
up and then we go down. And that is the process of creativity. And you know, it's really important to let that flow, because if we're constantly, and you know, I'm talking from experience here, if we're constantly trying to push ourselves to create and be the butterfly when we're actually meant to be in the cocoon, and
Mhm.
we're regenerating, and you know, spirit is wanting to channel these ideas, you know, we wanting to birth something new, and we're trying to be up here creating, pushing, being butterfly, we're just going to keep flopping, and then that perpetuates the I'm not enough, judgment, shame. So it's like really important to let ourselves flow through what creativity, the process of
Yeah.
creativity, and give ourselves that time to rest and reprieve And that's actually what I'm currently in at the moment in
Uh-huh.
my cycle.
Yeah,
And so,
lovely.
I'm resting and I'm wanting to rebirth my brand, the jewelry aspect of my brand into something new. And I'm starting to get downloads because I'm letting myself rest. But
Mhm.
like there have been times where I'm like, I need to be the butterfly. And I'm like, it's okay. Just take a step back. You've been through
Mhm.
this death and rebirth many times, and this is a really big death and rebirth that I'm going through. And I can see it in my chart.
Sure.
I can
Yeah,
see it.
yeah,
So yeah, really important to let ourselves, move through that creative process with flow and not trying to control and bat up against it.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
another modality I use to understand if you're what part of the cycle you're in is my dream analysis. And at the
Mm,
moment I'm using AI. So I put my dream into AI and I get AI to and actually every time it's coming up as transition for me. Uh,
oh, really?
yeah, yeah. So, and once again, it just helps the nervous system. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Great. We're in transition.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah,
And bring you back to that heart place, hence the name. Um, and and just give yourself permission, just give yourself compassion. And I love that you brought up about that, about the shadows, because those shadows have helped us to survive till now, right? And
yes, that's right. Yeah,
we're always going to be part of us, um,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's part of being a human is to experience all the highs and all the lows,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
everything in between. Yeah, I just think it'd be so amazing if that had been repeated to us in our schooling system,
Mm,
so that when the crunchy times comes in, when the curveballs comes in, we go, "Oh, okay, here we go. What are we going to learn this
yeah,
time?" Yeah, and like you said, the curiosity, be curious.
yeah, 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 yeah. And learning, yeah, and when we go through those, those parts, those times when we're in that transition, um, like really leaning into what it is, what am I going to learn here? And like, even though it's like, it can be really painful experiences, but just understanding that, we will rise from it. And it is
Mhm.
here to teach us something. And it is here to break down, and dissolve aspects of ourselves that no longer align,
Mhm.
and what newness and what new aspects of myself are wanting to evolve and shine now. And I love that you like put in, to your dream analysis into AI, because like,
Mm.
astrology, Aquarius, with Pluto being in Aquarius is all about technology as well, and
Yeah,
how we can use technology for our greater good, because right now a lot of technology rules us.
yeah,
It's like, how can we use it to our benefit for the community instead of to gain power
yeah.
over each other or over the systems. So
Well,
I'm excited.
I keep telling women to use AI so that we've
Yeah,
got the feminine voice in there because it's not going away, right?
yeah.
And at the moment, it's dominated by the male voice. So I'm telling women like to use it in creative ways. Like today, I just put in, can you tell me what I could tell my 16-year-old self? And I just got the most amazing response.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I'll quickly read it
Yeah.
if it um. So I got sweet girl, you feel everything so deeply, and that's your magic. The world will try to tell you to shrink, to be less, to follow the shoulds, but you are here to carve your own path. Trust your instincts, even when they don't make sense to anyone else. The dismantling will come, but so will the rebuilding, and the woman you become will hold wisdom beyond what you can imagine right now. You don't have to carry it all. Let people help. Laugh more, dance wildly, and never let the weight of your responsibility steal your joy. Love and grief will shape you, but neither will break you. You are already enough, exactly as you are, and one day you will build something beautiful that heals not just others, but yourself too. Keep going.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Mama AI.
And I mean, my point is it's not going anywhere. So keep filling it with these types of feminine information, so that
Yeah.
we have we have it for the greater good. There is a balance of feminine and masculine,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's it can it could be detrimental once again to us. So
Mm,
we've got to create now,
yeah. Yeah.
so that we benefit
Yeah.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's amazing, like sharing what it is that we have to say, so that there is like an equal, the masculine and feminine energies that technology can connect and with, and again, that's all like part of the Pluto and Aquarius. It's about equality. It's about
Yeah.
dismantling the hierarchical structures of what it is that's no longer working for us. Because we're
Yeah.
tired as a community. We're tired of it. We're just sick of
Yeah.
like fighting against each other, competing against each other,
Yeah.
especially, as women, that's how society has
Yeah.
taught us to compete against each other. Like, it's just,
I know.
no, we're so much stronger in unity, and yeah, just like
Yeah.
unity, and creating a space of purpose and what it is that we want to say as a collective is so important.
Yeah.
And that's how we will be heard, not individually but together.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, the French Revolution. So I always,
Yeah,
I always say to people, join the revolution. We can meet whatever time your energy fits.
yeah. Are we an energetic match, or are we an energetic
Yeah.
fit?
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Anushka. I just wonder if we could end with, if you could share what's something that's coming up in your heart place, and how people can find you.
Well, people can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and my website.
Mhm.
So my Instagram is Anoushka Van Rijn _, and my website is anoushkavanrijn.com. I often look around at society. I just like go for my walks and I look at people, and I feel like I do feel at times this deep sense of sadness, because I just see everyone as like the inner child, and that
Mm,
everyone just wants to be loved and accepted for who we authentically are.
mm,
And that, love is the highest frequency. It is
mm,
the strongest form of energetic connection. And if you can have compassion for yourself, let go of the need to control, let go of the need to judge. And then if you do judge yourself and others, don't judge yourself for judging yourself and others.
yeah,
And to just really remember that we were all children once, and we
yeah,
all just wanted to be loved and accepted for who we are. So if we can really tap into our own inner child and our own way of creatively self-expressing, and be really curious and understand who we are and what we're here to offer, and who we are to be, not do and achieve and
yeah,
achieve and achieve and achieve, but who we are to be,
mm,
and really tapping into that sense of connection um, with ourselves and embodying that, we are far more likely to be able to offer that to others. And
mm,
then we will create a sense of that unity and that
yeah.
love. Um, so yeah, that's what I want to share. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Look forward
Yeah.
to co-creating with you soon.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on board to the Heart Place Hospital
Aw.
mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, thank you
exciting.
so much for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah, this conversation was a joy, and I just feel like there's so much more we could talk about, and so much more I want to share. But yeah,
yeah,
this is a really
yeah.
beautiful conversation. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me,
Oh,
Jackie. It's an
pleasure.
honor.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
I feel like we could
Yeah.
do I feel like we could have a TV show together. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I do love being on TV. I do love a camera.
Yeah. I don't mind a microphone, I'll have to bet.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, um, that's something I would watch on TV and nothing else to watch on TV. So. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to sharing this with everyone and for
Yeah.
everyone to connect in with you. It's exciting. Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.